Chapter 157 to 159. The moment the battle started, we instantly caused the collapse of the dimension we were within, and we were thrown into another dimension, yet once again it immediately collapsed. This cycle continued for quite a while, with us being thrown into different dimensions before causing it to collapse from the sheer amount of ki our body generated. We only stopped getting sent through several dimensions when we somehow landed within the God timeline. Yet we didn't stop fighting, even if every time our bodies collided it caused the destruction of small galaxies, as we simply were far too absorbed in our battle to focus on anything else than each other, so much so that we didn't even notice that Whis and Beerus had quickly arrived after we first appeared and watched us fight in the distance. As I blocked a punch from one of 21's clones, I fired several ki blasts at the real 21 who was approaching me from the side, but she simply dodged them all. However, I did manage to slow her down to the point of where I could destroy 21's clone without her interference, though the clone left a surprise explosion with its destruction, engulfing me in the explosion. While in the smoke, I punch out to the right, hitting 21 who had blocked the attack, causing the smoke around us to completely vanish from the shockwave of the impact. As I back away, I tilt my head to the side, dodging 21's candy beam she fired from her tail. We continued our battle, oblivious to the destroyer's plan. Whis dash, if this continues on for too much longer, it'll cause the destruction of the universe. Beerus dash, hee hee, I got an idea, I hope my brother will like the presents I'm sending him. Taking a punch from 21 to the face, resulting in me getting sent flying away while crashing through something, but I was too focused to figure it out, as I had to stop myself from getting hit once again by 21. Grabbing a hold of 21's hands, I yanked her closer and tried punching her in the face, but she created a hole in her head, causing my fist to pass right through it. She then quickly closed the hole, trapping my arm in her head. I may have been trapped by 21, but she also can't move away from me, so taking that into account I start attacking her with vicious kicks while using my one hand to block her attacks. Through this weird exchange I had managed to land several good hits on her, but she also did the same, which I believe I lost that short exchange, as 21 can infinitely regenerate, I can't, so any damage I receive is very important. Flexing my arm still stuck in 21's head, I yank it out, causing 21's body to lean forward, and using that chance I knee her in the stomach before roundhouse kicking her through a portal that appeared out of nowhere, but I didn't question it and flew right through it, following after 21. Compa dash, you bastard Beerus. What the hell was that for, sending two rampaging mortals into my universe? Do you know how much destruction they caused? Beerus dash, I could imagine, as they first appeared in my universe and caused the destruction of some small galaxies, although it seems like ever since the top you've actually started taking your duties as a destroyer seriously. Vados dash, yes he has, and even though it's only been a year, Lord Compa has marginally increased the levels of the mortals, something impressive within the amount of time. Whis dash, ho ho, lucky you sister, Lord Beerus is still the same, spending most of his time sleeping and eating. Beerus dash, do you not eat with me as well? Whis dash, they may be true, Lord Beerus, but I'm no destroyer. Beerus dash, ugh, anyways Compa, are you coming along with us to watch the battle? Compa dash, tch, sure. As our battle continues on, every now and then we'll either get sent flying through a portal or we'll send the other flying through a portal, and until now neither one of us has taken the opportunity to question the portal. However, after it had happened for the 11th time, both of us finally took a second and looked at our surroundings. As we both scanned our surroundings, we saw we were situated on a giant rock floating in the vast expanse of darkness, couldn't even see stars twinkling in the distance. However, surrounding us in a circle were all 12 destroyers and angels, as they seemed to have been watching our battle. Beerus dash, hey, what are you doing? Don't stop now, we were just about to see the conclusion of the fight. I ignored him as I took this chance to inspect my body, and I was shocked by the state I was in, as it was honestly terrible, even for me. Sage, my goodness, I'm in terrible shape. I'm just covered in bruised cuts and blood, and that's just what I can see. The inside feels utterly terrible. I'm quite positive that every organ has some form of injury, while only my important bones are still intact, which is just my spine, hip, and skull. Everything else is broken, and my ki reserves aren't great either. Getting out of my thoughts, I focus on 21 as she does the same before both of us charge at one another. Once we collide, we release a volley of punches, kicks, elbows, knees, headbutts, and ki blasts, giving everything we have left in the tank into this battle. Halfway through our fight, we were forced to return to our base, but even then we didn't stop fighting. We continued fighting with everything we had, all while a smile occupied our faces, a smile of thrill and the desire to win. Right now we're standing a few meters apart away from each other. I'm even more injured than before, and I can feel myself on the verge of losing consciousness with each breath, and while 21 has no injuries, she's completely empty on ki, leaving her severely weakened, though not like it'll take much to knock me out currently. Weakly standing up straight, I burst out with the remaining amount of strength I could muster and run at 21, while she does the exact same, though she is faster so she reaches me first. My fist punches her squarely in the face, stopping all of her momentum, though while that was happening, 21 had kicked me in the face as well, which caused some teeth to fly out before both of us fell onto the ground, with me having gone unconscious from 21's kick. Compa dash, so does the pink woman win then? Beerus dash, were you paying attention to the battle at all? Neither one of them has won. Sage may have been knocked unconscious, but from the way fought, this wasn't a spar, they were fighting to the death, and the winner is determined when someone dies. Whis dash, and with how weak 21 is, she won't be able to land a finishing blow on Sage, even if he is in a near-death state. Without ki she'll barely be able to cause a scratch on Sage's physique. So I'd say the battle has finished in a tie. As I slowly open my eyes, I was lucky enough to have not been blinded by a bright light this time. Sitting up, I noticed I was covered in bandages and I could feel slight waves of pain coming from across my entire body. Sage ugh, the last thing I remember was running towards 21 to finish our fight, and seeing how I'm still alive it's safe to assume 21 didn't win. Hopping off the bed, I head toward the exit, but before I open the door, it opens on its own, and on the other side is 21 carrying a large plate of food, which caused my stomach to let out a loud growl. 21 dash, can you stop looking at me like that, and yes, the food is for you. Moving out of the way, I watch as 21 walks past me heading toward the table while placing the plate down, and with how hungry I currently am, I didn't question her any further and immediately sat down and started eating. As I started stuffing my face with food, I got curious about the outcome of the fight, so I looked up and 21 who is sitting across from me, and asked her. Sage dash, so, who won the fight? 21 dash, neither of us. During our final exchange, I had managed to knock you out with a kick, but my ki was completely exhausted, which made it impossible for me to finish you off. So we tied, sadly. Sage dash, surprising, but I'm sure it wouldn't have been a problem for you to devour me in that weakened state. 21 dash, you're right about that, but I have my own pride, Sage, and I'm not about to do something cowardly like devouring you when I wasn't the one who won the fight. When I devour you, I want to have the satisfaction of defeating you in a battle, otherwise, it'll mean nothing if I kill my rival, will it? Besides, I actually couldn't if I wanted to. The moment you went unconscious, your body was wrapped in an ethereal pink cocoon. Even if I was at my peak, it would have taken a while for me to break it. Sage Nala must have put some protection runes on me that'll activate if I go unconscious. Sage dash, how long have I been unconscious? 21 dash, 1 week. Quite fast considering the state you were in, though I should have expected as much. Having finished my food, I stood up and did some light stretches since my body was feeling a little stiff. When I finished, I looked over to 21 before teleporting myself to Nala's lab, as I'm sure she must be worried about me. Sage dash, as thanks for the food, I'll wait for you to catch back up to me, before our next fight. Appearing inside Nala's lab, everything looks the same as I remember. Not sensing Nala's ki, I make my way towards the exit and arrive at our home, though the instant I do I see Nala launch herself at me before wrapping her body around me. Nala dash, where have you been for the past week, mister? And why are you covered in bandages? Sage dash, well, maybe if you unwrapped yourself from me I would be able to tell you. Getting constricted by Nala when injured isn't the best experience I've had with her, but it could be worse. When Nala finally unwrapped herself from me, we sat down on the ground while I explained what happened starting from arriving at Tao's base. Nala dash, I see, so you're telling me, you had spent 1 week with 21 while unconscious? Sage dash, yeah, why? Underscore. After 2 hours of constant scanning and testing that Nala performed on me when she found out I had stayed with 21 for a while, I was finally set free, though she still forced me to stay at home just in case she missed something from the scans, well at least until I returned to my peak, so until then I just passed my days by training Mia, and spending time with my family. Just like that a couple of months passed by, with me spending time with my family and every now and then going to do some serious training with 21, though we had completely forgotten about Tawa as we no longer saw her as a threat if she couldn't unseal Demigra. We had also forgotten to mention this to anyone else, causing Cronoa to continue her actions of setting up traps and getting ready for a large-scale battle while leaving the Scions to undergo intense training in preparation for protecting the crack of time. However, I'm glad we didn't say anything, otherwise, things could have turned out a lot worse for us in the future. Tawa POV. Floating in the air above the crater where my base used to be with Mira, I currently felt no emotions, not anger, rage, sadness, or even humor at my situation. I've spent all of my life, trying to unseal Demigra from the crack of time and bring glory to the demon realm, yet all of my hard work has been for naught, as the only things that could help me achieve unsealing the crack of time have been destroyed, and to make matters even worse, one of the beings who caused my destruction was something I created. Tawahihi, it seems I'm really going to have to settle with my last plan. Reaching forth, I summon my cracked staff from the bottom of the crater and make a portal that leads me straight before the crack of time, something I managed to create when I was young with the help of small light blue women, with the same color hair. As I stepped through the portal, I knew my presence would be immediately noticed, but I didn't care, it wouldn't matter to me anyway soon. Standing before a large crystal in the middle of a dimension that is separated from time and space, I clasp my hands forward and channel all of the space-time energy I currently have, and shoot it out toward the crystal in the form of a beam. However, pretty quickly I notice the amount of energy I have isn't enough, as I'm only causing the crystal to shake. Mentally preparing myself, I start transforming all of my life energy into space-time energy, and by doing so it drastically increases my power, allowing me to start cracking the crystal, but I can feel myself growing old. After what felt like hundreds of years, I finally managed to crack the crystal, breaking the seal placed upon Demigra, allowing him to finally escape. However, by then I've lost so much life energy that I'm nearly dead, merely hanging on with the last bits of remnant life energy. Cronoa-Tawa. Weakling. Turning around, I see the current Supreme Kai of Time standing in the distance with a horrified look on her face, a look that puts a smile on my face as I slowly drift off to eternal slumber before Mira catches me and disappears. It's been a couple of months since the raid of Tawa's base, and currently, 21 and I are sparring against each other within her dimension. As I dodged a punch from behind, I swiftly turned around while kicking, but 21 dodged it before flashing around me and firing several volleys of ki blasts at me, which I mostly dodged, only blocking a few of them. With the area around me covered in smoke, I sense 21's ki completely vanish, leaving me with no idea where she is. However, when that happens, I close my eyes and focus on my ears, waiting to hear any noise she creates while trying to sneak up on me. Hearing the sound of wind breaking, I quickly tilt my head to the side and grab a hold of a pink leg where my head used to be, spinning 21 around, which causes the smoke around us to clear. I throw her in the distance and was about to fire several ki blasts at her, when all of a sudden I was teleported away. Gathering my bearings, I scan my surroundings only to find myself back in Toki Toki City, along with 21 beside me. I was about to say something, but before I did I saw 4 flashes of light, and right after Kakarot and Vegeta appeared, all 4 of them while also seemingly confused about the situation. Goku - anyone know why we were suddenly teleported to Toki Toki City? Goku - maybe Tawa is about to attack and we forgot about it? Vegeta - no. That shouldn't be it, we still had another week left before the time set by Cronoa was up. Vegeta - let us just go ask Cronoa, it better be something important too. I was in the middle of eating. Only when they stopped talking amongst themselves did they finally register our arrival, though before they said anything Trunks arrived looking distraught and disheveled. Trunks - guys, no time to explain, just hurry up and follow me, the crack of time has been broken. After saying that, he instantly flew toward Cronoa's home, and all of us quickly followed behind him while looking quite serious, though his words did cause 21 and I to look at each other. Once we arrived before the giant hourglass, we walked through the door and quickly made our way inside, only to find what looked like Cronoa's big sister with a halo in the shape of a gear floating behind her, but most importantly she seemed to be trying her best to close a giant crack in midair. However, an incredibly powerful ki was pouring out from inside the crack, and it was forcefully stopping her efforts, even managing to slowly expand the crack over time. Cronoa - damn it. I was forced to use a tremendous amount of power to seal him away last time, so I'm no longer at my peak, but to think he's gotten this much stronger. This is bad, under no circumstances can I allow him out of the seal, otherwise we're doomed. Trunks - Ms. Cronoa, everyone is here, what can we do? Sage Cronoa. That's Cronoa. Well, they look exactly the same, just now she looks like an actual woman and not like some child. Cronoa - ugh, quickly, come help me in wreck losing the seal. We were about to, but none of us knew what to actually do, as we can sense that she isn't using normal ki or god ki, so we just looked at each other. 21 - can you be more specific? Cronoa - just channel your energy into me and I'll do the rest. Following her instructions, we reached our arms out facing them to Cronoa, and started transferring our ki to her, which she then used to contain the crack. However, we noticed very quickly that our extra ki didn't seem to change anything, so we powered up in response. Kakarot and Vegeta transformed into SSGSS, and the other 2 formed into true Super Saiyan, while 21 and I released our full power. Only after we got serious did we see the crack start closing, albeit slowly, but all of a sudden an enormous amount of ki rushed out of the crack, enlarging it even further while slamming us against a wall. Demigra dash, he, after who knows how many millions of years, it's time for me to finally return and allow reality to accept their new god. Cronoa dash, Ujich, where's my help at? If we wait too long Demigra will be set free. Hearing her words, all of us quickly power up to our max power so we can counteract the powerful ki. Arriving back near Cronoa we once again start channeling our ki to her, and only when I get low on ki does Cronoa finally close the crack on the wall. However, there is a permanent small fracture in the middle of the air. Sensing the power coming off of ex-Kakarot and ex-Vegeta, I look over toward them and see their true Saiyan form has changed. They're no longer covered in red fur. Instead, both of their fur is pure silver along with their hair being slightly larger than when Kakarot is a SSJ3. Sage, what the heck happened to them? The power they're generating is far more than a destroyer's. Checking on Kakarot and Vegeta, I see nothing out of the ordinary for Kakarot as it seems like he has just fully mastered UI. However, Vegeta seems to have learned his own god technique as his hair has turned all purple along with his eyebrows disappearing, though the feeling I'm getting from him is the complete opposite from Kakarot. After waiting for a while and seeing how everything seems to be fine, we all powered back down and walk over to Cronoa. However, as we were walking I didn't see Trunks with us. Finding his ki, I turn around and see him plastered against the wall in the distance unconscious. Sage, he'll be fine, we can get him later. 21 dash, so, mind telling us how the hell Demigra almost escaped? Cronoa dash, it was Tawa, she appeared a few weeks earlier than I expected, and not only that but she somehow managed to sneak directly to the crack of time. Sage dash, but that doesn't make any sense, we had already destroyed the time rings Tawa managed to steal. When I said that I noticed everyone, except 21, instantly look at me with their eyes wide open in silence, though Cronoa broke that silence when she rushed forward, grabbed me by the torso, and started shaking me violently. Cronoa dash, so you destroyed the time rings Tawa stole and then didn't bother telling me, the supreme Kai of time about it. Sage dash, stop shaking me, and just so you know, 21 already informed you about it. Thought the moment I finished that sentence, I realized my mistake and immediately looked over to 21 and when I did saw how she stuck her tongue out and knocked the side of her head while trying to act cute. 21 dash, oopsies, I forgot.